A post Cinco de Mayo for everybody. So let's get started. What you should have already is you should have some peppers and some, I'm talking peppers and showing you sweet potatoes. Sweet potatoes and peppers cut up, ready to go. We're gonna put this into your pan. So we're gonna double use this pan. So once we're gonna cook it, we're gonna roast our veggies here and your oven should be at 400. So if you've got that preheated, we're good to go, but we're gonna dump our sweet potatoes in here and they do have water, so drain them before you put them in your pan, okay? And then put your half or one piece of tin foil in the bottom of your pan. Okay, and then add your peppers. And then we're going to add the oil. So we can mix this around a little bit. It has VO. So vegetable oil. All right. So you're going to drizzle across the top. Now, if you feel like it's not enough, if you like a little bit more on your veggies, you can always add a little bit more. So I'll try and stretch this out. And then we're going to stir them up a bit so that we can get some, I think I'm going to need more. So we're going to add a little bit more. Oops. All right. And I'll stir it up. You basically want to get those veggies covered, coated in oil so that we have a little bit of protection. Otherwise, they can dry a little bit too much. So we're going to get them coated nicely. We have a runaway pepper. You want to get them in a flat single layer for the most part. And then we're going to use pepper and salt. So salt them and pepper them to whatever your degree of preference is. You can use fresh ground pepper or you can use ground, pre-ground. And then a little bit of salt. I'd say probably I'm using half a teaspoon or less. Okay. So you should have your veggies ready to go. You can stir them one more time to get that pepper and salt mixed. All right. Then these are ready to go in the oven, just like this. Oops, single layer, as I mentioned. Flatten them out. Okay. Ready to go in the oven. So we're going to bake these for 40 minutes at 400. We're right at 400 and I'm going to start my timer. 40 minutes. Okay. There's your potatoes. So the potatoes and peppers are started. How's everybody doing with me so far? That was like whoop, quick. So let's get started next on the corn salad. So we're going to do the street corn salad, and everybody has a can of corn. This is the Mexican street corn salad. So we're using canned corn. So we're going to use the whole canned corn and we're going to drain it. So I'm going to drain it in the okay, drain as much liquid out as you can. Then we have oil, which I need my, Amber, I should have some salad oil. Get my lid out.
It's underneath the...
Oh, sorry, it's right here. It was hiding from me. Okay, so you should have one that says in a baggie, SO and SS. So save our sinking ship for tonight. Oil first, and we're going to put it in the fry pan. So or a saute pan. Put that into your pan. We're going to turn on our heat. And we're gonna get it up to high because we want to get this cooking high, and it's gonna actually create that charred look on the corn. So give yourself a second to get that up high. We'll wait for that to heat. Remember, how do I tell again how my corn is or my oil is hot? Is remember it'll shimmer a little bit. You can also test for, you could put a piece of corn down, or you can do the wooden spoon test, lots of different things. So while we're waiting a little bit for that, corn, also known as elote, this dish can actually be eaten on the cob, or it can be eaten like what we're doing tonight, which is more of the salad version. So we have a visual for you of the whole corn, where we actually did a corn on the cob, and then we're going to do this as the salad. So you can do it either way. And we're going to saute this corn. So we're going to get this to spread out a little bit more. Get a bowl ready. So this is, sorry, this week we're using a lot of bowls and a lot of pans. Final fun is we're using a bunch of pans for you. Okay, so that one is, remember we don't have gas here in Hawaii, so it takes us a little bit longer. While we're waiting, I can share some sweet potato facts with you. So sweet potatoes come in a variety of colors. My first question to everybody, how many colors of sweet potatoes are there for us to pick from? So there's different ones, different flesh, different skins, but we do have sweet potatoes. Now, what's the difference between a sweet potato and a yam? Well, traditionally yams are grown in Asia, and so they're in Africa, so they're typically not here unless you go to an international market. The typical ones that you're finding here are sweet potatoes, even though they may say a sweet potato yam. So we have, and I have a project growing. This is actually an orange fleshed sweet potato. So this one has the oranger flesh like what you have tonight. And this sat on my counter at home for, I'd say, a month. So you can take this and put this in the ground. You can cut it up and it would grow, hopefully grow some more sweet potatoes. This is another version, and this has a white flesh. And this one also has been sitting around for a little bit. I've grown some sprouts. And then of course we have our Okinawan sweet potatoes. So those little sprouts are just barely there, but of course that's our purple fleshed color. So has anybody seen or guessed how many colors of sweet potatoes we have? While you're guessing, I'm going to start my corn. So we're going to get our corn in here, and I'll check my temp. I'm slow. I'll make sure my burner's not on. So let's try burners. You know, when you have a fussy burner, you have to make an improvisation and change burners. So change burners. We'll get this one up. It says burner on too, that one. So if anybody has
an extra 3, white, orange, and purple, or someone else put 4.
So actually I have 6 down as my research on that. And so there are 4 rough flesh colors: red, white, purple, or brown. And then we have the flesh, sorry, that's the skin colors. And then we actually have white, yellow, orange, purple, and even pink flesh. So we do have a little bit more choice than just the 3 typical ones that we see in the markets. Again, your specialty stores will have a few more options for you. So now we're getting this is hot. Got a good hot burner. We're gonna wait for that corn kernel to start up. In the meantime, I'll tell you what you have for your corn salad. So you have Cotija cheese. We have a mixture of sour cream and mayonnaise for the salad. And you also have limes. And you should also have a bag of cilantro and green onions as well. Okay. And that is when you have also your pepper and your red pepper and your jalapeno. Now, of course, you can go all jalapeno. You can do the whole thing, or you can do half. It's up to you. The seeds are the hot part. So it depends on how many seeds you want to add. And I've got a good hot sizzle going on my corn. So let's get the corn started. You can kind of see there's a little bit of a sizzle going. We're gonna add this. And toss it. But we want to get it to the point where it chars and you'll get some popping. So we actually get popcorn. Not quite the traditional popcorn that you're thinking, but it will pop. Okay. So we'll get that rolling. Some of the other things with the cotija cheese is Mexican, a traditional Mexican cow's milk cheese while we're waiting for our corn. So this cheese is cotija cheese and you can buy it in a round. We had purchased a round and then cut pieces off of it. So you can buy cotija cheese. Now, the interesting thing is, does this cheese melt? Does this cheese actually melt? Like cheddar, Swiss, mozzarella. That's a question for everybody. Does this cheese melt? I see people shaking their head no. Correct. So it doesn't melt. So we actually add it at the end and that's why it does not actually melt, but it's actually a very salty cheese. So make sure that your flavor preference, add it to the level of your preference for saltiness because it is a more salty cheese. All right, our corn is going. And cotija cheese is it was named from a town in the state of Michoacan. Hang on. Michoacan in Mexico. I'm hoping I wrote that down as phonetically saying Michoacan or Michoacan. Something very close to that. So that's where cotija cheese came from. The alternative, if you don't have cotija, if you don't like cotija, you can sub it with Parmesan. You can also sub it with feta cheese. So next question, what animal gives us feta cheese? So cotija is from cow's milk, but where do we get feta? Two guesses for goats. Good guess. Anybody else?
You gotta see.
Yay! It's actually from sheep's milk. Could be goat, but it could also, it's more commonly from sheep. So sheep's milk or goat's milk, but it's also aged in brine. So it's aged in a salt solution. So again, it's a little salty. Parmesan, of course, is our Italian hard cheese, cow's milk. It's aged about 12 months. And that's how we get the nice flavor of Parmesan cheese. So my next question, if we look at feta cheese and we look at Parmesan cheese, do either one of those melt? And if so, which one melts for me? Ooh, we got some good popping. And you can kind of see I'm getting a little bit of that toasted color. So we want to go a little bit longer to get that charred look. So out of Parmesan and feta, which one will melt? Okay. I'm going to go a little bit longer, but we're getting close. I remember this was on high heat, so that helps that color. Parmesan, good. So Parmesan cheese is the one that'll melt. Feta cheese gets soft and gooey, but it doesn't technically melt. Oh, and we got popping corn. Oh, there we go. Now you can see how we have that nice browned, charred look. If you were doing it with whole corn, you could do it on a grill. You could do it on a like a tortilla maker, which is a flat surfaced, basically a flat surfaced cast iron type of skillet. So that's another way of doing your toasting of whole corn. All right, look at that. That's perfect. So we're going to put the corn in a bowl. Got that nice and brown. So you have a good color going. I can turn off my burner and we're gonna let that cool a little bit. So we're gonna put the pepper, we can mix up basically our dressing kind of mix. And we'll mix this up together. So we're gonna put together remember that was the mayonnaise and sour cream. Mix that in with your peppers. It is a quarter of your red pepper. Okay, we're gonna put the lime juice in there. Oh, before I forget, wash your veggies. Wash all these before you use them. So make sure you wash everything, your cilantro, your onions, you can wash those, and your limes, your avocado. The limes and the avocado, you could technically wash with soap and water, more so with the avocado, but definitely make sure you wash them. So squeeze your lemon or your lime, I should say. Give it a really good squeeze. And they went home with 2 limes. So you could use the whole 2 limes. It really depends. Some of these aren't going to be as easy to juice out. So you could use the full 2 limes in hopes that you don't have any cuts on your fingers, because you'll feel it when you're squeezing those limes. I'm feeling it. Okay. So we can actually need you can also use your little squeezer if you have one of those lime squeezers. Or you could cut it in half too. That'll make it a little bit easier. There we go. Okay. Oops. You can leave one of the limes if you'd like to do a garnish, but I'll go ahead and cut it up. Okay, let's mix this up. Get that started. Then we can mix our cotija cheese in there. We need to also chop up our cilantro and our green onions. Okay, so all of again, if you're worried about your flavor, you can adjust your cotija cheese. Mix that in really well. We'll cut up our green onions and our cilantro. So you should have a bag that has green onion. Now, I believe this is all of the green onion and cilantro that you have. So if you want to keep some of it for your garnish of your enchiladas, keep a little bit on the side. And of course, if you have any green onions, and these are the ones that you'd want to wash. So we'll wash these real good. And then just shake them and drain them as best as you can. Then so I'll keep a little bit off to the side for a garnish. Oh, it looks pretty good. And then I'll chop up the onions. If you have any onion tops that look a little rough, like they've kind of gotten a little bit brown, you can let those go. And then we'll put all this together. So nice way to if you line it all up, you can actually chop through it. And remember too, if you want to keep your green onions and recycle them, just cut to here and then plant this into the ground, and you can keep adding to your green onions. Rid of that. Watch your fingers as you get close to the end. Another fun fact, you can actually do green onion palm trees. I don't know if anybody's ever done like scallion palm trees. So you take a green onion and you cut through like a whole bunch of layers and you put it in cold water and it fluffs out like a palm tree. It's a little garnish option. Okay, and then we'll get our cilantro. Okay, and you want to cut anything else that looks big? Then we'll mix that into our bowl of yummy sauce here. Let's go this way. How's everybody doing with me? Is anybody cooking tonight? If you're not, you can cook later, of course. All right. All right, so mix this up really good. And we're going to add it to our corn.
And Rihanna is.
Nice. Okay. We've got this great looking sauce. We did not add salt and pepper yet. Seasoning. So here's all your seasoning, and that is in that SS container. So we want to make sure we put that in and get that mixed. So we'll put that in with our mixture here. We'll break it down if have to. Get rid of those. Okay. You can always add salt if you need to, but again, remember your cotija is salty. So if you want to add pepper or any other flavors, more lime, more jalapeno. I know some of you all like it spicy, so that will give you the flavor. I think I got my seasons all broken down and mixed in there. Now we're ready to put this together. So we're going to combine it. Sometimes a rubber spatula will get you all that good stuff that's left in the bowl. All right, mix it up with your corn. And your corn is still warm. So this is you can serve this cold or you can serve it hot. Of course, right now it's pretty much warm. So that's kind of a nice dish. And you can smell the cotija cheese, or at least I smell the cotija cheese. So pretty tasty. And then we can put it on you need to plate it or, oh, we didn't, you know what? We missed our avocado. Half an avocado. We don't want to forget our avocado. Okay, avocado. Wash it with soap and water so that we've got, Amber, will you wash that soap and water? And then I'll show you if you've never cut into an avocado, hopefully if you feel it. Now, everybody that got one, make sure it gives a bit. If you are concerned that it's hard, then you'll have a harder time getting it off the seed, but get that little bit of a give and then it should be ready. And if you're going to use half, or if you want to use the whole thing tonight, feel free to do that. That way you don't end up with a brown avocado at the end. So you can definitely use up the whole thing between all of these dishes, between the enchiladas and the salad. So here is, look at that. That's perfect. So even if there's some brown spots, you're all right with that. But basically you're looking for that really pretty green. Now, if you are going to use both sides, like we'll use tonight, and if you've ever taken the seed out, just whoops, whack it really good in the center. Like does not want to come out, and then you can pull the seed out, or just tap it on your stove or your trash can or whatever works. And then you can take it out. You can slice it in here. Now, if you slice it you're using your hand. So if you're taking the whole skin off, you're risking your hand. But if you leave it in the skin and slice to the edge of the skin, then you'll save your hands from getting cut. You can go cross hatched, and then we can actually just flip it out into the, and if you want to cut it up smaller, you know, if you were worried that it was too big, then we can cut that up a little bit more. But you can, it's almost like a mango where you can cut it. Okay, so that called for, we actually used a little bit more avocado, and I think I'll get a little bit smaller cubes. So we can cut up a few extra cubes here. The other thing you can do is pop it out onto your cutting board and cut it that way as well. It's up to you. All right. And mix that in with your salad. And your salad is done. Okay, so what you should end up with is, there's your Mexican street corn salad. Okay. Oh, and we'll show you. So this is what we did with the fresh corn. So we just husked it and then we toasted the edges. So we kept the end stalk on there, and then we did that charring. So we got it so it cooked, and then you can decorate it and put it on, you know, you can put all your sauce. Your sauce was made separate. You can put the sauce across the top. And then traditionally this can either be eaten, as I said, with a salad, or pick this up and eat it just by hand. So another way of doing Mexican street corn. Okay. All right. Oh, does anybody know what those flowers are? I'm going to have you know. What are the flowers on top? We got corn and we have avocado, but what are the flowers? They're 100% edible. So you don't want to put anything on as a garnish that's not edible, but what flower is that? We'll see if anybody comes up with a good answer there. Okay, now let's get started with our enchiladas. So I am going to grab a towel real quick, and we're going to do our enchiladas. So we have about 16 minutes on our roasted. So we're going to let those go, and then we're going to start the sauce. Did anybody guess, Jesse, on our type of flour? Oh, and I'll use the extra lime juice for the,
Yes, sir.
yeah. Very easy to grow. They'll grow like vines, and so they'll grow anywhere you want them to go. All right, let's do some black bean enchiladas. So your ingredients that you should have on hand now are the cheese. You're going to have a bag of shredded cheese. That's the very final part. Move this over a bit. So you should have tortillas. You should have cheese. And it talks about having it all really close by. And that's because it does kind of go quickly. So you want to have everything close at hand so that you can use everything as needed. So you should have EF and ES, so enchilada spices, enchilada flour. VE is the vinegar. And you have a chicken broth. Now, if this is a vegetarian enchilada recipe, so if you choose to make it vegetarian, just leave this out and use just plain water. But if you're interested and you want to do the chicken, you can. The other thing is you have a can of chicken in your goodie bags. So you can drain that, and we can add that to this mixture, and you can end up with a chicken, sweet potato, pepper, wonderful enchilada. You're gonna have a little bit more that's gonna fill your tortillas. You may run out of tortillas, but you can still use that as your filling. Save this baggie, because this is your bag for your churros. We missed sending you home with a disposable like piping bag or a disposable bag. So use this as your churro recipe squeeze because we're going to squeeze the dough into the grease. Okay. But with your chicken bouillon cube, there is a little easy open on there. So you see that and you pull that little tab and it will separate the halves and you just take it apart. So there's lots of bouillons on the market. This is a easy cube. Put it into warm water and then we're going to hope for it to break down. But one cup of water per 1 cube of bouillon. Okay. Now in our saute pan, so we're going to get a saute pan ready for our sauce, and you're going to add your enchilada oil. So you have enchilada EOS, so enchilada olive oil sauce. We'll say that. All right, so we're going to put that into your pan. We're going to turn our heat up to medium to medium high. We want to get that nice and hot. While that's cooking up, I'll talk to you about a little bit about a roux. So where did roux come from? What's the term come from? What country? We've talked this is a little different because we've talked Mexican street corn and we're making enchiladas, but roux is actually from where? I don't know if anybody knows where we get roux from. Yeah, so roux, there's four varieties, and roux actually stands for red. So that's then red is not red, but we can make a roux, and roux is typically a 50-50 mix of fat and flour, and then a liquid is added to it. So this is the beginning of your sauces for a lot of mac and cheese, bechamel sauce, cheese sauce, this enchilada sauce. So you basically are creating we're going to create a roux for you. So it's out of fat or flour and olive oil. So the two combined will make a nice mixture. And I need a whisk, Amber. So we're going to get our oil hot. And again, we're looking for that shimmer. And you do have a whisk, a fancy whisk in your kit, plus a wooden spoon. Just wash them before you use them. First time. All right, so we're gonna get that hot. And again, you have everything next to your stove. So you're gonna have your spices near you and you'll have your vinegar near you and your chicken broth. You wanna make sure that chicken broth gets broken down. Which I think my water got a little cold. So mash your chicken broth bouillon cube. There's lots of different varieties of bouillon. You can buy paste, you can buy the cubes, you can make your own, and you can make your own stock from chicken skin and bones and leftover chicken drippings. And you can also make stock from veggies. So wonderful way of using up old things. And again, we've got a nice, there's something sizzling in there already. I think probably a piece of lime. So you've got, it's definitely warm. So we're gonna add, this is where we're gonna add the flour. So we're gonna start this roux. So we're gonna put in, I usually try not to dump it all at the same time. It talks about we're gonna add this all together, but I try and put my flour in and you'll see it sizzle. That's good. Then we're gonna whisk it. So you should get a little bit of a, you wanna get all that flour incorporated into the oil. Some roux use butter. Remember, it's just a 50-50, usually on a fat and flour. Okay, so now you have that roux started and that's good. We wanna see it bubbling up. Then we're gonna add your seasonings, and some of them might have gotten a little bit stuck together. So we just want to break those up. Okay. And remember, we want to stir that constantly. And this is going to cook for about a minute. Does anybody know why we have to cook this for a minute? It's like, well, it doesn't need to go for a minute, but why am I making it for a minute? This is a cooking principle that you'll understand. Why do we have to cook it for a minute? That's the magic number when you make anything with flour, when you make a roux. Does anybody know why? Gotta watch my time. So we've got, it's getting a little bubbly. So it should start kind of bubbling up, looks puffy. That's a good sign. Okay, so we've got that cooking. I'm gonna give it a little bit longer so you can see how it's nicely puffing up and that's cooking still, so that we wanna get that minute time frame in. But the question is, why do we have to do a minute? If anybody knows why, what's the minute? That magic minute number. That's a good guess. Not actually bacteria. It's to kill something, but not the bacteria. I think I hit a minute. That's a good guess. All right, now, yes. That is a starch taste that you don't want. So that's why the minute. So for any time that you cook flour, like a roux, you always want to do 1 minute. Then we're going to add yeah, we'll add our tomato paste. So you also had tomato paste in this. I'm going to put that in your mixture. We'll incorporate that. You still have it on fairly high heat, so we still have it moving. We want to move quick. And you should smell that nice, fragrant roux. All right. Now, here's the fun part. Now we're going to add the chicken broth, and you're going to see it sizzle up quite a bit quickly, but don't add it all at one time. Do a little bit of time, keep stirring. This is when it's going to start to actually begin that thickening. So you want to do a little bit of time, but you also want to keep whisking so that it doesn't create lumps. And the trick with roux or white sauces or any kind of sauce is that you want to do a cold liquid to a hot roux. And that's what we call a roux. If it was a slurry, it would be a hot liquid going into a cold flour mixture like cornstarch. So slurries are typically cornstarch, and a roux is typically a flour base. Okay, so once you start seeing it kind of mix up really well, you can add the rest of that chicken broth, and it's going to thicken. The rest of my. All right, so let's get it incorporated really nicely. We're going to bring it up to a good simmer. Okay, there is the beginning of your enchilada sauce. So you can see it's still pretty thin, but as it's going to simmer, we're going to simmer it about 5 minutes. And that's exactly the amount of time left on my veggies. So that will be a perfect indicator. We'll come back and kind of stir this a little bit at a point and see how it goes. But we're also going to watch for our vegetables at the same time. While that's cooking, let's measure out the sour cream. So I need to add the sour cream to this. So there is a ½ a cup of sour cream that you have, and we are going to do a couple tablespoons of sour cream. And I'm going to grab a bowl. So get your beans. make sure you rinse and drain your beans, and you have a full can of beans. So if you want to turn that into a whole recipe, you can, or you can cut it in half. So what you have for sauce is a half recipe, but if you do want to use your whole bean amount, you're welcome to. So we're going to put the beans in a bowl. We're going to add about 2.5 tablespoons of sour cream. And to this mixture will come our roasted veggies. Okay, so we have sour cream and beans right now, but then our vegetables will come into this. And you can season this however extra you want with pepper and salt. We want to put in about 1/2 teaspoon of salt to this mixture. So we're going to use my salt mixture, which is back here. 1/2 teaspoon. I have 1/4, so I'll go 2. Oh, actually, I only want 1/4. Woo! Good thing I saw that. You only want 1/4, not a half. Half would have been that full recipe. So just the 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Okay. And then some pepper. And my pepper is back here. Okay, so we'll tap in. Again, it's preference on your flavor. Have that ready to go. And then we're going to add the cooked veggies to this. Our sauce. It might get a little bit of a film on top. It's going to thicken, which is fine. And obviously, look, whoops, thermometer's acting up. You can see where it's thickened. So you've got a nice, thick, rich sauce. And I've got about 2 minutes left on the vegetables. So about 2 minutes on the sauce itself. So once we get the veggies out, we'll mix them into, I'll let them cool a little bit. Then we're going to mix them into our bean mixture. Okay. How we doing? Good. Okay. Now let's get started on the churros. So fun churro fact that this is pate choux dough. So churros is a Mexican dish. However, it started in Spain and then moved over into Portuguese, Spanish kind of combination. So that is where it began. The recipe talks about doing your ganache first. So we want you to hold off on that so that it doesn't get solid, because what happens is if you microwave all that and you get it runny, by the time you finish all of this, it will firm back up. So do that last. You could even do it on a double boiler system where you actually have a little bit more control of your temperature. So if you want, you create your own double boiler. You create it by putting a little bit of water in the bottom of a pan, put a bowl on top, unless you have a double boiler at home. And then we can put our chocolate chips and our cream into there. And I can let that start. All right. So chocolate chips and cream, and just keep my oven on. And we'll pull out our veggies, which I have a hot pad right here. And look at those. So you kind of want to get you want a tender. So they should be tender. They shouldn't be firm. So you can see it mashed under the pressure of that fork. So we'll let those cool just a little bit. They came out beautifully. Some of them got a little bit charred on the top, which is nice. That's extra flavor. I'll turn off my burner for my sauce. Get that moving. Okay, we're gonna let that cool. Then we're going to mix these together. But in the meantime, let's get our ganache going. So we're gonna put I'll do it because it's a double boiler method, but I'll put the tablespoon of cream and the 4 ounces of chocolate chips. And I understand some of you had some special treats in your goodie bags this week with all the Godiva chocolate. So some impressive good stuff for you. All right, so I'll let that kind of sit and melt. I'm going to turn it on really low heat. It's going to melt slowly. Okay. This is cooling down. So we can add this to our beans, and you're just going to be able to pull, you should be able to pull that foil right out and mix it with your bean mixture. So I'll dump it into bean mixture. You don't have to have the foil anymore. You can mix your beans and your peppers and your sauce together. Taste it here. If you want to add more salt, feel free. You can also taste your sauce a little bit. See if you want to add more salt to it. We did it today on a straight as the recipe called for, and it came out just right. It didn't need anything extra salty, but if you like that extra bit of flavor, you can do that. So let's do, we're tight on time, but thanks for sticking with us. So we're gonna put a little bit of sauce. So my sauce, look how nice and thick that is. That's great. So we're gonna get the sauce in there. I'm just gonna put about, not a whole lot. I'm gonna just put it on the bottom. You can use your whisk to spread it around. We just wanna get it so it's on the bottom. It gives it kind of a base for your tortillas to stick to. So spread it out as best as we can. Okay. Now, tortillas. So you should have 6 tortillas. You don't have to do any kind of prep for them. They are perfectly soft. So get your sauce or your filling. And again, if you added chicken, you're welcome to have that extra in there. Okay, fold them over. Try and invert this onto your pan without losing your filling. And if your tortillas crumble a bit, that's okay. So we're going to put it here on top. Okay, put that on there and we're going to turn it over. That one came down nice. So guesstimate how much you're going to need to put in each tortilla because you'll have that amount. If you have a little bit left over, you can put it on the side if you want. Sweet potatoes, full of vitamin A, loaded with vitamin A, loaded with vitamin C. So great opportunity to get a good, this is a nice option for using sweet potatoes. In there. And we'll roll this over. That one got a little bigger. So we'll fold that one as best as we can over and then we'll put it at the end. Got a little extra filling here. Now you're going to take your sauce. Oh, we need to add the vinegar. 1 step vinegar. I'm going to put it in the rest of what's here. And I didn't lose too much in the pan. So we're going to add that. I almost missed that one. Add your vinegar. Stir it around. And then now we're going to put this across the top. And then we'll spread it out in a second. Nice, dark, rich sauce. Okay. And you want to get it to the edges, but you don't want to go all the way to the end. You want to get it as close to the edge of your tortillas as you can. And then you have a bag of shredded cheddar and I believe jack cheese. And it calls for, the recipe calls for 1/4 cup, but we gave you lots of cheese. So if you want to use the whole thing, you can, but this is way over 1/4 cup. We all love cheese here, so we're going to go for the full thing. So you just want to sprinkle across the top. You can spread it out. Then we're going to put this into bake. You're going to be finished. This is going to be finishing up after, way after our time frame, but 20 minutes or so. Actually, we might actually hit close with, because we've still got our churros to do. So we're going to spread that out. Get all the cheese out. We're going to pop this in the oven. Whoa, almost popped the whole thing in the oven. It is still at 400 and we're gonna go 20 minutes. So I'm gonna back this down. I think my temp it's right at 400. So we're gonna back that. I'll go -1. And we're gonna time it for 20 minutes. Actually, I think I did 15 on the last round. So we're gonna do 15. Start that. And now let's get our churros going. All right, so you can kind of see my milk and my chocolate's getting a little soft. We're gonna get a spoon to kind of mix it up a little bit so that we have an ability to kind of see what it looks like. So now you should have flour and you should have cinnamon sugar. That's also part of your recipe and that's for afterwards. And then you're going to have eggs. So you have a couple of eggs, flour, and the butter. And a pan. So let's go to, let's use this. This is my oil from before. All right, so get a pan ready. So you're gonna put the, we need to get some water. So half a cup of water. And a 1/4 cup of the unsalted butter. So the 1/4 cup is how many tablespoons? How many tablespoons in a cup of butter? Oops. So we're gonna go half a cup of water. Okay. 1/4 cup of butter. Yeah. 1/4 cup of butter. And I had some extra on the, it got soft, so I'll scoop it. So how?
4 tablespoons.
Yeah.
2 tablespoons in a cup.
Good job. So 4 tablespoons butter. And then we're gonna add to that, we're gonna add the water, the butter, and the salt. So the salt is a 1/4 teaspoon. So a pinch. Also known as an 1/8 or, you know, a pinch of salt. Oh, salt is in the flour. Okay, good. So don't add salt to your mixture. Thanks, Kelly. So we're gonna get that to a rolling boil. Then we're gonna stir our flour into here. So we wanna get this melted. We're gonna wait for that to melt. In the meantime, I will spoon. Let's check our chocolate here. Oh, look how pretty that is. And that is on really, really low heat. So we let that, we're gonna keep that just on the absolute lowest heat so it doesn't get firm. Okay. All right. So we're waiting for our butter to melt and we're gonna bring that to a boil. We can get our eggs ready. Our eggs are gonna actually go into this mixture. So we're gonna start out with melting the butter and the water. Then we're gonna add the flour and then we're gonna reduce the heat. We're gonna mix it really good, vigorous until it becomes like a ball. So we're gonna create a ball. And then after we get to that level, then we're going to add, we're gonna let it sit for a few minutes and then we're gonna add the eggs to that. So we're gonna add the eggs one at a time. So we need to get this on high. Expedite it. So cinnamon sugar on the side. And this is gonna come to a boil. Okay. So I can show you on oil. So we did send you home with 3 cups of oil. Now this is what it looks like after one round of the churros. So you can see there's a little bit of, it's darker than typical oil. So you can guesstimate how long you can keep your oil. Generally people that are frying will go another stage darker. So maybe twice and then they'll be done. We're gonna watch it with a thermometer, but you may not have a thermometer at home. So we'll give you some cues as far as what temperature it's gonna look the best at. The typical temperature is gonna make the difference in how that cooks. So we wanna get it just right. It's the Goldilocks principle, just right. Okay, so we're gonna get this to boil. Right. And then it says stir the flour all in at once. So that means just literally dump it into that boil. So we want to get it to a rolling boil. If you can stir something down and it's bubbling, it's not a rolling boil. So you want to get it hot to the point where it is at that rolling boil. And this was unsalted butter. Why unsalted butter versus salted butter? Well, it's because if you have a recipe, you can control the salt intake or the salt to it. That's why most baking goods will have unsalted butter, just for that fact. So we're going to wait for that. It's getting close. So you can see now I can't stir those bubbles down. We've got a good steam going. Now we're going to add that flour. And your flour has your salt in it. Okay. So we're going to add this all at once, and then we're going to reduce the temperature to low. So we're going from high, and then we're going to drop it to low. So add your flour all at once. Drop my temperature to low, and then we're going to stir it. I got to pull it off the heat because that was really hot. Okay, we're going to stir it until it starts pulling away from the sides. You can see where see how it's sticking to the spoon versus the edges. So that's what we want. Okay, nice dough there. Remember, flour has gluten. So the more that you handle it, the tougher it's going to get. So you don't want to over mix it. We're going to let this sit 2 to 3 minutes. If you have time at home, that's what you want to do. I think what we could do is kind of push that along a little bit. We'll add the eggs to it. So remember, your eggs is one at a time. My suggestion is put your eggs in something first so that you don't get a shell in there. So break your egg. Make sure you don't have any shells. You can mix it up a little bit. We'll mix that a little bit as soon as I grab a fork. That's just one egg. We're going to do one at a time. So it says keep it when it's hot, when it's warm and not hot to the touch. So the reason would be, why would you not want to add those eggs when it's super hot? You don't want to scramble your eggs. So there, it's warm, and we're going to stretch it a little bit, push it out to the edges. That might help cool it quicker, and we'll give it a shot. So we're going to add our egg one at a time. Mix the other one up. Put a little bit of mix in that one. It's looking a little gooey. It's at the beginning. Okay, mix up your egg. All right, now let's mix our pâte choux. So pâte choux actually stands for cabbage paste. Interesting, right? It's not cabbage paste, but if you think about pâte choux dough is used for cream puffs. And if you look at how cream puffs look kind of when they finish, they kind of look like a little bit of a ruffle of a cabbage. So that's how they are known at. That's why it's pâte choux. But if we look at the technical definition, that's what it stands for. All right, so we want to mix this. If you have a regular hand mixer, that will help, but you can kind of smash it to the edges. But again, we don't want to we want to get it mixed, but we don't want to over mix it. Because if you over mix it, it just gets a little bit more tough. And I'm kind of making a smash it down in there a little bit. And this is what your baggie is going to be for. So I'll show it to you as a baggie that you can use, a quart size bag, or if anybody has a pastry bag at home, you can use a star tip, because the star tip is what you get the wrinkled edges with. And we have a pretty good looking paste there. So nice paste. I'm going to heat up my oil. So I'll move, I'm going to scoot just a little bit towards Kelly. And we're going to heat up our oil on a smaller scale. In the meantime, my ganache is still sitting over here and it's drying up a bit, so we can turn off that. If it has to, if you need to add anything, you could add a little bit of cream, a little bit of milk would do that you can do at home. If the milk that you had, the cream that you have is not enough to keep it moist, we can add just a little bit of milk to it, or you can add whipped cream to it. So we'll just add a little bit, and that will kind of lighten it back up again. I probably added a teaspoon, and I'll let that sit. So we really want it to get that nice soft consistency. And my burner is totally off, so it will sit there and we'll kind of watch it. Okay, I have my heat on, and we want to get to 325. So in the meantime, I'm going to put this into a baggie. So I'll do it in two sections. I'm going to do one. This is a disposable bag. I put a star tip in the top. You want to have sterilized scissors. We sterilized them. That tip, push it back just a little bit, cut the tip, and then push that tip out. And then you're going to put your dough into that, besides putting it on the stove. And then I'll split my dough so that you can see the difference. All right. So there's going to be one version. And then we'll do, so in your quart size baggie, same thing, push your edge back a little bit, cut, try not to cut too much. We want that tip to come out, but we don't want it to blow out the side of the bag. So we're going to shoot and try this. Then we'll put, if you don't have a tip, you can totally go without that. The tip is just what gives you those ruffles on the edge. Remember, that's the cabbage or the churro style. Okay, then we can put that into our baggie. So if you do it without the tip, just do a straight cut and you'll be fine. And it comes out in a more of a tube shape. Okay. So we're going to have to kind of adjust this and get it so it comes out. Once our temperature of our oil gets to 325, that's when we're going to actually start squirting through. And then we're going to cut it off at the end, and it'll kind of fry up as it goes. So if you have a candy thermometer or a deep fry thermometer, feel free to use that. The trick to, if I can get this to stay on, the trick to frying truly is the temperature of the oil. I can't see the trick is getting the oil hot enough. If you have your oil hot enough, you sizzle and, what's the word I want to use? You sear in that moisture and you lose that absorbability of the fat. So once you seal it, that's what you want. You don't want the fat absorbing into your flour. So 325 is our trick number. 350, usually 375 for chicken, things like that, so that you get that temperature hot enough and make sure it goes just to that point where you can get it so it's not, the oil is not absorbing into your food. All right. How's everybody doing that's cooking with me? This is a big process tonight for us. We saved the best for last. So hopefully you're doing well. And anybody that's still going to cook, just give yourself time. I've got this heat going. It's just taking a little bit. You can see a little bit of the movement of the oil, but not not really. So I'm going to turn it up to high and then we'll see what we have. Any questions? We've talked about a lot of stuff tonight. Look at my chocolates looking great. Let's see if I had any other fun question facts. Churros were first discovered, or first started in the 16th century. Let me get rid of my, gotta clear this off while we're waiting for that to cook. Let's get our enchiladas out. I think I need one more hot pad this time. Maybe not. Yeah, maybe a hot pad, or I'll use my towel. All right. So that was 15 minutes, everybody. If you go 20, it might be too long. So 15 minutes is probably just about right, depending on your stove. Then after you plate it, look at that. Ready to roll. Sour cream on top. You have a little bit of extra sour cream. You have extra green onion, extra cilantro. You have extra avocado. You have extra lime if you wanted to put it on top. You can do anything with all your leftovers, okay? So enjoy your enchiladas. Now we're going to create the dessert. See how this. Get our contraption to come together here. All right. I know we're a little over and I apologize for taking your time. We do understand if you need to jump off. We hope you enjoyed what you've gotten through. It will be posted. So if you missed anything, we'll have this ready for you. Basically what we're going to do, so if anybody has to jump off before we get our churros done, basically what you're going to do is you're going to squeeze your dough through here, and you can see how it's got the edges. So how that star tip created that edge. You'll squeeze through about 2 inches, and then we're going to cut it off with a pair of scissors into the oil, and then it will fry about 5 minutes, roughly. Just watch the outside. Remember, the temperature of your oil is going to make a difference on the cooking. If it cooks too fast, it turns brown on the outside and it's raw in the center. If it cooks too slow, it's just going to be really too brown. So watch your temperature as well as the time, and then put it on paper towels. Once we get these fried, we're going to put them on a plate, and we'll put paper towels down so that you can kind of pull some of that grease off of them. So we have a plate ready. We have our paper towels ready. Enchiladas are here. It's a feast night. All right, we're still working on temperature here. We're at 2, it's climbing, right, Kelly? 250. We should have okay, so for those of you that want to do this, heat your oil as you're working on your churros so that your dough is done and then your heat is hot. Okay. So we're going to shoot for both of those. Same thing with your baggie. Again, if you don't have that, I don't want to lose that dough. If you don't have that tip, you can still just cut it off. We're going to try and get this a little tougher because it's not quite the same tapered volume going into it. But if you can get it into that tip, or if you just squeeze it out, it will come right out of the bottom, and then you create that nice form. And our oil is just being really, really slow. I don't want to use that. So we're going to get a spoon so we can lift these out once they're done. The thing with oil is it will get hot and then it will stay hot. So we have to be careful that it doesn't get too hot. Otherwise we end up burning our whatever we're frying. Yes, so we're going to have cinnamon and sugar is going to be your kind of what we toss it together with. So have that ready once they come out and they've drained a little bit. we're gonna put that in the, we'll put the churros as they're warm into there. So you should have your cinnamon and sugar. That was the CS mixture. So you'll have that ready. And we're getting closer. Cooking is not a rushed topic, right? And here is our chocolate. It's looking good still. It stayed, and that was a little bit nicer of a consistency, not so dry. I at least want to get one of these churros cooked for you to see what we're going to look like as they come. I'll do one in the baggie, one in the other piping bag. We're watching our time. It's like watching a pot boil, right? It takes that time to get the churros up to temp. But you really don't want to start your oil. If it's low, you don't want to start it because of that absorption. So just give it that time. The other thing too, as oils get older, they tend to not do as well. So that's why you don't use them over and over and over again. Get that ready, and we are really close. Okay, I'm going to get it ready. So I'm going to do a baggie first and try and get it through to the, okay, squeeze it. Give it a little bit of go. Whoa, my tip is blowing right out of my bag. Okay, so we don't want it to blow out all the way. So I'll use this once, and you can cut it. And there they go. Let me use this one. And you just don't want them to touch, so go as many as you can in your pan. Be careful, your oil is really hot, so just don't be very careful not to splash. We can probably do one more in there. And they're rolling around in there, which is good. And then we'll watch them. So we're gonna do them about 3 to 5 minutes, and my temperature of my oil went way high. So we'll lift that off. My temperature is up to 350, 60, 75. Like I said, 375 is more of your temperature for fried chicken. So these are closer to 325. We'll watch them. It's still holding pretty hot. It does, once your oils start to get hot, they typically, yeah, the activity's picking it up. Plus I had my temperature on my stovetop at high. So I really was pushing it, and then it just boom. It's kind of like candy making. You get to that candy part and it just goes, all of a sudden it goes boom, and you're done. So oil is similar, and it's just be careful with them because they do get very, it's a dangerous substance, but don't be afraid of it. It's kind of fun to cook with. So you're kind of looking for that bubble. I was trying to tell you how we can look for it being at 325 exactly. It's kind of at that bubbling state where it's not coming down. I'll take my thermometer off. So look, light brown. How's that? Beautiful. Okay. This one's done. So we'll pull it out, and you can always test it. If it's doughy in the center, then it means that your oil is too hot. If it's not doughy on the center and it's just right, then you've got your temperature perfect. If it's greasy in the center, you know your temperature is a little too cool. Okay. And we have we're going to drain them a little bit. Okay. Drain them off on the paper towel. Once those drain off, we can add those to our cinnamon sugar mixture. We can toss them around in the cinnamon sugar. We're stirring them up a little bit. I think I probably, there we go. Look at that. There is your churro. Okay. So that is just what we want to see. And then we'll cut it in half. Should be nice and airy in the center. I don't know if you can pick up that or not. So it's got a little bit of a few holes, tunnels. So tunnels are our technical term of when we over mix something. Few of them, but not bad. And they're crispy. So you can put them on a plate and your ganache and your chocolate and your churros, and you are set to go. So now you have a full meal. We will take you together to pull that, give you a full perspective of what you created. There we go. All right. Wow, we did it. Sorry, I had you here a little longer than what we thought, but it was all worth it. This is our last one of the semester, last one of the school year. So we have appreciated you all being here. We'll be back again in the fall, or not, yeah, in the fall. This is spring, so we'll be back in the fall, start this up and do some more fun things with you. Happy Mother's Day to every mom out there. You know, wish your moms a happy Mother's Day. Maybe you can make them a wonderful meal to complement their day. Enjoy your weekend. Good luck on finals. We'll see you at convocation if you're graduating, and congratulations, you made it through the semester. Good luck, everybody. Have a good night.